Great. Thank you.
You can start, Joe.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here at the Vinyl Square Transportation Improvements Prioritization Meeting. Want to welcome everybody and thank you all for all your participation that we had for the survey. We had a fantastic results and got a lot of feedback, and we're here to prioritize and go through that with our friends from NIMCOG here. They're steering the ship here, but I'm going to go through a few things to introduce everybody. And again, thank you for joining here in the room or remote, since we're doing a hybrid meeting to adjust for how we had this advertised. Next slide, please. Are we sharing this presentation? Okay. All right, my name is Joe Tierney. I'm the current chair of the Vinyl Square Strategic Action Plan Committee. And to my right here is Bill Gillette. He started it all as chair, and now we're thankful that he's still on the committee and helping the cause. Laura Lee is a representative also in North Town Hall. She is joining us remote. And Janet Murphy is also, she's not in the room here with us too, but she's a resident and our secretary. She does a fantastic job with our notes, keeping track of our happenings. Mike Walsh is our planning board representative, and he actually is in transit joining us remote. And Brian Creamer over here is a new resident to the neighborhood, and he has been a fantastic help with keeping us organized and things going on with the playground, et cetera. Dan Rokas is remote. He's the owner of Zesties. He's a business representative, and he has been hard at work opening the new Little Z's, and he's on a well-deserved vacation. And Evan Belansky is also joining us somewhere remote, and he is the community development coordinator, helps us out a lot with steering the ship of this committee. Virginia Crocker Timmons, the chair of the Board of Select Board, is our main contact to the board. And I also want to give a shout out to Paul Cohen and others that help support the committee in our regular endeavors. And Lisa Maroney helps us with our business updates, as she does with everybody in town, and lets us communicate with the business to make sure they know of any programs in town through the state or any updates and happenings. Next slide, please. So the next slide I want to go over actually is a snippet in one of the slides we had from the original master plan that the committee had put together a few years back. And when we virtually had all the residents and businesses, we had information sessions and finalized our master plan. And as you see, there's some things short-term, mid-term, long-term listed here that actually some have been done, some are in the process of being done. And right in the middle, where you see mid to long term, the 2 to 10 years, we have a couple of highlights, and that's where we're at with bringing NIMCOG here to get us into the next stage with the state, to get our thoughts and priorities laid out to make sure we can get other improvements done. As you may or may not know, because there are a couple of state roads that come into the square, we absolutely need to work with the state to get some improvements done. So again, that's why we appreciate you acting as a community body, giving us your feedback. And this is just the next step. There's going to be more that's needed to be done for input, but that's where we're at right now in 2021. Next, please. Just to give you a look here with the Varney Park improvements, there's been several things that are done, a lot of work with planning and some sketches, drawings done with potential improvements, but things that I'm sure and hope you have all had the opportunity to take part and enjoy the Varney Park updates. There was the update with the full court basketball, with the you see the kids playing there on the picture, and you see pickup basketball games. The boathouse and bathrooms were upgraded, and there was an ADA compliant ramp that was put in to connect right from the parking lot all the way down to the beach. So anybody, I just want to take the time to thank everybody that's been part of the process of these improvements over the time. And this past year, even while we've been in lockdown as a town, DPW, led by Steve Callahan, basically updated our tennis courts and put a new tennis court and a pickleball court up in place of that. By the end of this year, to give folks a little update, Varney Ave back there will be updated as far as street improvements in a specific parking area, so it's designated, so it's not a free-for-all as you see sometimes at the beginning of baseball season and whatnot when it gets busy. Next slide, please. Events. This is, again, where we have fun in our neighborhood in North Village. We like to pay tribute to our veterans in town for the Memorial Day parade that we alternate with the Center Village in Center of Town. We have tree lighting that the group led by Bill Attender and Karen Roy put on, updating the lights and getting the events ready for the tree lighting. And when we kicked off the opening of the park, we had movie nights. We had a movie night to launch it, to get people's attention, to see what the good work was that was done down there. And we had a couple after that. I will reach out and appeal to everyone that we could use some more help and more hands and new neighbors to get more involved, to get more events going. What is it that you would like to see? We want to put that together with some of the committees that we have on this board. And lastly, there's a picture there of another movie night that we have. I just want to remind everybody that North Town Hall is still, at the time being, closed. And we're looking to open that soon, where we used to have yoga and other events in there. And again, I would appeal to everybody here, anybody watching the recording, reach out to us, anybody else on the board, and would love to have you on this committee. We have fun. We have more fun the more people get involved. Next slide, please. And again, with community involvement, I would just want to give a big shout out thank you to Milltown Plumbing. Their team came on the townwide cleanup and did a great job working with, again, Steve Callahan. And he had them lay out the full playground with the mulch and really did that, the cleanup. And Laura Lynn Morey actually led the team from the Congressional Church. And they were excited. They did a lot of cleanup on the beach and the other areas in town, and they were having such a great time. They went in other parts of the town, so they were spreading the love. And another thing I want to point out, when you see the flowers, planters that we have already in the square, that's spearheaded by Janet Murphy, and she's done a phenomenal job. But that can't be done on its own. Again, we need folks to help out, and Laura Lynn has actually started working with her and other folks at the church, and it's all about working together as a team. It takes a village, and we're here to help each other. I also, one last thing, I do want to put out a special shout out and thank you to Colin Spence of the Chelmsford Police Department and the patrol and everybody looking out for the neighbors and keeping us safe, and all the work that Steve Callahan does with us. And if you put the next slide, we'll show other things that we're working on. So, like I said before, we have NEMCOG here to take us and steer our ship and to make sure we're prioritizing other improvements for Vinyl Square proper. We have a couple of projects that are in progress. During 2019, toward the end, we were finalizing, and some folks either tuning in remotely or watching on television, or people that are going to continue to get involved, were part of the input session to pick out the signage that we had through wayfinding. We now are finalizing the stages to actually see exactly what we need for stock, and that should be up in the next few months to early next year. Planters, you see there are planters. Some people gave some feedback about that as well. Those planters that you see on the slide is actually one that we have at DPW, and we're looking to put an arborvitae in there. And again, just like the flowers, we need people, either the businesses or other residents, to help us keep those nice and green and looking good. And lastly, that's one of the ideas that we have come up with at the new Vonnie Park playground. I've been here 20 years, and so is the playground, and they say that it's end of life. So hopefully that's just a playground. Anyway, so that's one of the mock-ups that we've had, and Brian Creamer has been part of the team there, and some other neighborhood residents that are, we're still looking for added feedback if you want to join that committee. We're always looking for things to do at the park and improve the playground. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Carlin and the team with NEMCOG.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. My name's Carlin Andrus. I'm with the Northern Middlesex Council of Governments. I'm the GIS specialist there, and I've been working with the Vinyl Square Committee on putting together the survey, a hub website, so that members of the public can join, participate in the program. And first I want to introduce some other members of NIMCOG who are here. There's Justin Howard, Transportation Manager, Jeff Owen, Planner, and Jay Donovan, our Assistant Director. I appreciate their assistance in getting all this together today. So what I want to go through with you is first just the results of the survey, and then we're going to have some polling exercises to help prioritize some of these concerns and ideas that came out from the survey. And after that, we want to make sure that we've gotten everybody's voices heard, and we'll have some focused comments from the audience here tonight and also the audience on Zoom. So to start with, the survey project and the development of the concept plan was funded through the District Local Technical Assistance Program, DLTA, which Jay was involved with, as well as Evan, getting that put together. The survey was developed through a collaboration of the Chelmsford Town staff, the Vinyl Square Strategic Action Plan Committee, and our agency, the Northern Middlesex Council of Governments. The goals of the survey at first sounded like things that have already been done for Vinyl Square, but the goal of the survey was to get specific ideas and concerns about transportation issues that are affecting the people who are traveling through the square and also affecting the neighborhood. So the primary goal was to gather critical feedback on Vinyl Square transportation-related concerns and ideas from residents, businesses, and other stakeholders. We wanted to help develop a transportation concept that will enhance the square and meet the needs of the residents and businesses. The concept plan we'll be working on based on your feedback from tonight and also the survey. And this whole process will help us document the public participation process, and it'll allow the town decision makers to initiate the design and construction of improvements in partnership with MassDOT. So once we have a concept plan, we can bring that to MassDOT and say, look, we've got a lot of interest in improvements in this area. We know that MassDOT owns the right-of-way and the roads in the area, so we need to partner with them to get some of these things done. So the survey distribution, I have to say, was very impressive to me. We had the website set up, and we were able to direct people through Facebook, through emails, through contacts directly with businesses. We had town meeting representatives notified, Chelmsford staff and committee members personally visited businesses to inform them about the survey to get more business feedback. There were also flyers available at the senior center, the public libraries, and even on Zesty's pizza boxes. And speaking of Zesty's, not to do an advertisement, but we were grateful that they offered an incentive. About halfway through the survey, they were offering a gift certificate drawing, and I believe Brian's drew the two names that we're not gonna announce it tonight.
They've been notified.
They've been notified. So hopefully that drew in a few more additional responses. So how many responses did we get? We got 148 survey responses. And not surprisingly, I think 60% of them came from Vinyl Square residents. 32% of the respondents indicated they were Chelmsford residents, didn't indicate they were Vinyl Square residents. 5% business owners and 5% identified as other. And that included people who are employees in the area, and also people part of the town management. People who took the survey, they were asked to categorize what type of concern or idea they were submitting with the survey. 46% reported that they had concerns with the roadways or traffic, or that was the gist of their concern. 23% reported a parking concern. 10% for walking and biking concerns, and the other 17% self-categorized their responses as either streetscape improvements, recreation and park concerns, or just general beautification and aesthetic concerns. Also, not surprisingly, most of the responses said they were reporting a concern more than a particular recommendation. So that's something that we can work with. The whole survey was developed with the idea of starting from sort of a blank slate. There have been concept designs put together, strategic plans, streetscapes, but we left the survey kind of open-ended to collect comments from people without sort of the influence of the other projects. And because of that, it took a little while longer to pull out all of the individual concerns, because people, and gratefully, wrote several different ideas, several different concerns, each within individual surveys. So when we parsed that out and separated out the different ideas that were in the survey, it actually ended up being a larger percentage of walking, biking, and accessibility issues were mentioned and brought up. Roadway and traffic was also a big chunk of it. Parking and streetscape, walking, biking, accessibility, and streetscape issues were a much larger percent of the actual comments that people had brought submitted in the survey. Next slide. So hot spots. I apologize for those in the audience, but if you can use your handouts, it might be hard to see some of the details on this slide. This represents sort of the particular areas that people were commenting on specifically, and it's not all the comments, it's comments that were either placed on the map at a particular location or mentioned a location or an intersection. You can see that there's a big hot spot around the hardware store area and at the intersection of Dunstable Road and Groton Road and Adams Street. Just general light timing, traffic flow issues ended up sort of in the middle area in front of that. And then the next hottest region were comments regarding Watton Street. Is it Watton?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got there. Watton Street, where it meets Vinyl Square, traffic backups in that area, and also the other intersection. But also you can see several spots that fell outside of the specific study area for the concept plan and survey area, particularly crosswalks and concerns about crossings where maybe we'd want another crosswalk. You can look at the crosswalk at the fire station, crosswalk by the Congregational Church. Those are both hotspot areas where people were concerned about the safety and accessibility at those crosswalks. So now I want to go into digging in a little deeper into each of these particular categories, roadway and traffic issues. Since that was the largest percentage of self-categorized responses, a lot of them had to do with improving and modifying traffic signals. One thing that was brought up by a couple committee members when I introduced this was that there was a problem with the traffic signals. I don't know how long that lasted, but it happened to overlap when this survey came in. So that's partly why we're here tonight, is to really ensure that that actually is such a hot topic, or if it was just because of that particular one, was a week or two where it was just not working right.
It's fixed.
It's fixed.
It's
That's
better.
okay. You've heard it, everybody. It's fixed. So we got 79 roadway and traffic ideas and concerns, which was 53% of all the survey responses. So they talked about the traffic signals, but also just generally improving the traffic flow and ideas and suggestions to reconfigure or redirect traffic to prevent some of the backups that you've been receiving. There's roadway safety issues at entry and exit points, particularly at the parking areas. And you can see for yourself, hopefully, all of the other issues that were raised regarding roadway and traffic ideas. If you go to the next slide, traffic signals, within that grouping of roadway and traffic issues, improving signal timing was the hottest issue. There were 31 ideas and concerns related to both the signal timing and also ideas about places where they could put new signals or adding arrows. But it's also important to note that there are some dissenting voices who responded saying, just restore the old light timing, keep the light timing as it is. And even when the lights were out, everything worked great. So I think it's important that everybody's voices are heard. We're just looking at the numbers here. So at specific intersections, these were some of the concerns and ideas that were raised in the survey. At Dunstable Road, Groton Road, and Adams Street, based on the survey, not having done traffic studies on this area myself, a lot of the reports were that traffic backs up very far.
Recording stopped.
Oh, looks like we lost connection there. Hold on just 1 second.
Just hold, we'll getting some Zoom technical issues.
My connection was unstable.
Well, since the recording stopped, I guess you can make any candid comments you want right now. And
Well done, Kevin.
maybe you could start it up again from here.
Well, it's still being recorded
Okay.
by them.
Yep.
This looks like it might take a minute.
Okay.
Hey, Joe, we can see the room. I just can't see the presentation.
Yeah, we had a technical difficulty where they're reconnecting the Zoom call. I don't know if I can.
Yeah, I'm on the Zoom. I'm on the Zoom. I can still see the room.
Maybe you could put the
I just can't see the
back.
presentation.
If I share my screen, will you be able to see it?
Go ahead.
I think if you just put up the PowerPoint.
We lost connection with the
see
main
that.
computer that,
All right, that's
thank you,
fine,
Virginia,
thank you.
that is actually connected to the call. Bear with us, folks, we
There you
appreciate your
go.
patience. Okay, excellent.
It's back on now.
Back on.
Zoom is not on
Okay. The
So-
recording.
Hold on.
Everything
Just to
looks
let you
like,
guys know, it's not recording.
can you
It's not
turn,
recording anymore, just an FYI.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna should we continue? Or
Virginia's
just
running.
Wait till they get that? Okay.
Might be best.
This is, can't connect to Zoom.
Just
until-
one last thing, are you able to continue the recording and have two halves?
That's what we're thinking here.
What if I record?
That's what I was thinking.
Recording in progress.
So the only thing that happened was the Zoom recording stopped, whoever hit record on Zoom, but Chelmsford Telemedia is still going strong and you're still recording.
Excellent,
you.
okay.
So just keep going and show the document the way you're showing it.
Thank you very much, Virginia.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Okay, we're back in business.
We're back. We'll get the slide up on the screen.
Recording stopped.
Okay.
We could use a break from some of the charts and pie charts and things, I guess. So back to Dunstable Road, Groton Road, and Adams Street. So traffic backs up way up on Groton Road. The light timing is too short and doesn't account for the traffic coming in from Dunstable. The vehicles turning left from Dunstable Road can block Groton Road coming out of the square. There's some traffic safety concerns with that. Also the poor visibility turning from Dunstable Road. And related to this, traffic coming into the square sometimes can end up blocking the Watton Street left turns. Traffic is continuing even though there's a red light. Too much truck traffic. Some of the ideas that people presented in the survey included having a dedicated signal phase or adding a left turn arrow for Dunstable Road. And that might involve moving the signal further westward for Groton Road. A couple people suggested making Dunstable Road right turn only or one way or redirecting to another intersection entirely. Preventing left turns, and there are also one or two suggestions to actually end Adams Street after the professional offices and thereby creating some additional parking or green space in that area. I'm going to move to the next intersection. Watton Street at Vinal Square. There are a lot of responses related to traffic backing way up after softball games and practices coming from the Southwell Fields. The signal takes too long. Somebody had timed it as being 2 minutes and 30 seconds, which it forced people to wait through several light cycles just to get out of there. Some people thought that the priority for Watton Street was too high, and that stopped the traffic within the square. So a lot of the suggestions recommended improving the signal timing, adding or improving the sensors at that intersection so the cycles aren't needlessly stopped for no traffic or too little traffic on Watton Street. And some of the bigger ideas were recommended adding additional entry or exit points from the fields or redirecting traffic entirely from Watton Street all the way to somewhere maybe on like Tingsboro Road. Oops, I jumped here. The next most commented upon intersection was at Middlesex Street and Princeton Street. There are comments about traffic congestion on Middlesex Street and especially poor visibility turning right from Middlesex Street into Vinal Square. Comments that vehicles don't stop at the stop signs there. And also recommendations for reducing speeds on Princeton Street. This is where most of the suggestions for adding a traffic signal were at this intersection. There are also several suggestions for realigning Middlesex Street making more space or including more space either at the common or on the other side there for parking or green space or other pedestrian accommodations. And there are also suggestions for redirecting traffic entirely from that part of Middlesex Street down Wright Street, and preventing left turns to Princeton Street. And the comments that didn't pertain to a particular intersection, a lot of them had to do with feeling unsafe or dangerous access and exits from the parking lots. The public parking at, I think it's 30 Vinyl Square, and also the plaza that's across from there. Some people had suggested adding signs, do not block, or adding like pavement stripes so people know not to block the ingress and egress from those lots. And people in the neighborhood are concerned about a lot of cut-through traffic because of the backups in the square. The specific streets that were mentioned included Newfield Street, Sherman Street, Washington Street, Wright Street, and Shaw Street. There are others, of course, in that area, but those were the primary concerns. And, of course, the other part of the intersection is Tingsboro Road. People were concerned about backups coming from Tingsboro, particularly at rush hours in the morning. And in general, there are safety concerns about traffic speeds through the cut-through streets as well as the square, and some mentions of too much truck traffic. So parking. There were 28 mentions about parking ideas or concerns, which was 19%, almost 20% of all of the survey respondents. Most of the people wanted more parking, and in particular, more parking for disabled or elderly people. Some suggestions for parking included adding more curbside parking for disabled or elderly people, just because of the safety issues of trying to get in and out of that lot or crossing the street. I thought curbside parking might work better for disabled people. There were concerns about parking facility improvements, problems with the lots, paints, landscaping, a whole range of concerns. And there are also suggestions for adding more signs so people can find the parking in the square. So enough about cars. There were a lot of recommendations for pedestrian, transit, and streetscape related improvements. And most of these had to do with improving the safety and accessibility of crosswalks. There were other streetscape improvements recommended, which was almost a quarter of the related responses. Sidewalks was about 20% of the responses, and more than half of the ideas related to these types of pedestrian or streetscape related concerns. There are two ways that people had provided feedback related to these, both just in their comments, but also there was a specific poll relating to potential streetscape improvements. And here's the survey for streetscape. What would you like to see more of in Vinyl Square? The majority of people wanted more street trees. And I should say almost 90% of the people who responded to the survey answered this question in one way or another. Benches and wider sidewalks were next most popular. There were a lot of mentions of removing overhead power lines. And I believe a lot of these things are things that the committee has already been addressing. Better street lighting and wider crosswalks were rounded up the next ones Least popular was dedicated drop-off spaces at curb. I'm not sure whether that was, whoops, sorry, I'll let you do it. Okay, so crosswalks. The recommendations for crosswalks, there were 40 mentions about concerns about the crosswalks, which is more than a quarter of all the survey responses. The crosswalk issues mostly related to just improving the crosswalks in general, but there are a lot of particular mentions about adding high visibility crosswalks with flashing lights or other markings to make it more clear to cars to slow down. There were some recommendations for new crosswalks and, of course, improving crosswalk safety. And there were also some concerns about the signal timing and phasing for the crosswalks. When you press a button, maybe it takes too long, you have to wait too long. Next. And sidewalks. In general, people wanted sidewalks to be improved, and the most common improvement that was noted here was widening sidewalks. People like the idea of widening sidewalks for dining. Somebody had brought up a concern that widening sidewalks might somehow impact access for fire response. That's something that I believe would be part of the process. And then there were sidewalk maintenance and snow clearance issues mentioned as well. Did it again.
Yeah.
So now we're at the point in the program where we want to try to do some polling. If you have a cell phone, a smartphone, you'll have two options. We're going to try to put up a QR code. I think it's just if you display the slide.
Yep.
You can get out your cell phones, tablets, computers. Now we're going to try to do this polling online since we've got 3 different audiences here. We've got the in-person audience, we've got a Zoom audience, we've got people who've just called in. We're going to try to make it so everybody has the opportunity to vote for this.
Recording in progress.
And recording is in progress.
You got it back running.
So option 1, if everybody can see this, you can hold your wow, that's an interesting
Yeah.
mirror. I think we'll just leave that. So if you've got a computer, you can type in pollev.com/NIMCOG, NMCOG 800, and that'll take you to our poll. Is the poll activated?
I'm gonna have to pull it up here.
Yep, sorry.
Yeah, it's working. I'm not gonna take it.
It's open?
Yes, it is open, and we'll take it.
No voting twice, Brian.
That's right.
Okay, it's open.
Oh, we've already got 2 votes in here. So if you go to pollev.com/NIMCOG 800, you'll have access to vote for this first question in the poll. You can also, if you don't mind,
Go ahead.
hold your cell phone up to your screen, try to take a picture of this QR code, and hopefully that will give you a link to open up the poll in your browser. And if there's anyone in the audience who wants to vote here, if you don't have a cell phone, I do have an iPad you can use.
You can raise your hand.
Or we can just hand tally it. And your third option is if you're able to text, you can try to send a text to 22333. I don't know if you want to try that now. And once you get a response back from that number, you're going to send a message that says NMCOG 800, NIMCOG 800. If you text that message to 22333, that will let you vote for this first poll. So we can go back to the poll results. These are live votes. I don't know if they're via text or through the website, but you can watch them coming in here. The question is, which intersection within Vinyl Square do you feel is most problematic in terms of traffic flow and safety? Choice A is Tingsboro Road as it enters the square. Choice B is Dunstable Road at Groton Road. Choice letter C is Groton Road at Vinyl Square. D is Watton Street. And E is Middlesex Street at Princeton Street. The votes are still coming in. So we're having you do this. I know we made everybody do a poll, the survey already, but we thought this was important to try to help prioritize the improvements. We really need the feedback from the residents and businesses so we know what's the hottest concern among the residents. We're going to give another couple minutes to enter your votes, or if it just stops, then we will go with that.
Do you want us all
do
to
you have the
vote too
number of
as residents?
responses?
Hey, you're residents.
Yeah, right?
You're welcome to.
Did you vote?
I am a resident.
Uh,
That's that way.
the
number of
You have a front row seat,
or
too.
just the
I did.
percentages?
We're going to get percentages, but
You
when
don't
we
know.
download it later, we should get the number of responses.
Okay.
Now, if you tell me when you're voting, I'll know exactly how you voted. No, I'm just kidding.
It's okay, I put my
We
name in
can
there.
watch it coming in. Okay, looks like Dunstable Road at Groton Road has 50% of the votes for most problematic. Next, we have Groton Road at Vinyl Square, followed by Middlesex Street at Princeton Street. Looks like we're still getting a few votes. Again, if you're still just getting your phone, you can text to 22333 NIMCOG 800.
Working out pretty well.
It's working.
You gonna do ranked choice voting now?
We
That'd
looked
be a
at that.
no. That'd be a hard no.
There was no text option for that, and we felt that we couldn't just rely on everybody accessing a computer for this. Are we missing any votes from the audience, or did you all get to put in your vote for it? Okay.
I think everybody has.
Okay, we're gonna, if you click on here, does it let you lock it? Oh, another vote coming in.
How do you get out of this?
Huh. Are you the presenter on it?
Uh-huh.
Should be able to click on it and see the. Yeah, so now you can
Lock it.
lock it
We're gonna lock it.
and go to the next question if you're up for this. So now go to next. Those in the audience, if you're on text, you can answer the following question by sending a new text now, because we've activated this poll. Those on the computers, you should be able to see this. The question is, which of the following transportation improvements would you most like to see within Vinyl Square?
You got one vote for B.
100% want improvement of pedestrian bicycle safety. So again, if you're texting, you want to text the message NIMCOG 800 to 22333, or if you need it, we can put up the QR code again to get back to it on your cell phone. You'll hold up your phone, try to take a picture of that weird box. That should take you to the link.
It's also in the chat.
And the link is also in the Zoom chat. It might be the easiest if you're already on Zoom. Looks like there's a fight over measures to improve bicycle safety. Pardon the typo on that one. Anybody in the audience need help voting?
Looks like a horse race up there.
Yeah, it's 50-50.
They're dueling it.
The photo finish. Is everybody in here voting? We may need to break a tie.
Yeah.
I hope so.
This is where we'd need to break for a commercial break or something. Not sure how to fill in or make this an interesting conversation about the votes coming in, but
Jeopardy music should be going on right now.
yep,
Talk about early projections.
right.
Okay, I think that's,
Should see what 538.com says. All right. If it doesn't bounce in the next minute or so, we're gonna lock it. Looks like we've got pedestrian bicycle safety concerns. Pretty close to roadway and traffic flow concerns or measures, followed by transit improvements. All right, we're gonna give you a last chance. Put in your final vote. Try to break the tie if you want. All right, why don't we lock that
Go
one?
ahead and lock.
Final.
We can go to the next
Next
question.
Again, if you're texting it in, you can now text in a letter for one of the following choices. The question is, which roadway condition or operational improvements would you most like to see in Vinyl Square? A is improved pavement conditions. B is better traffic flow, improved signal timings. C is more regulatory signage and or pavement markings. And D is improved vehicular accessibility from side streets. In this case, meaning reconfiguration of intersections, channelization. So far, better traffic flow and improved signal timings is tied with vehicular accessibility from side streets. Jeff, do you have a sense of how many people are on Zoom? I don't. Just a rough
16
guess.
Total of 18.
18 participants.
Okay.
We lost 2.
Okay.
Including Jeff.
Yeah.
Yep. If you haven't been able to vote for some reason or other, you're welcome to contact me or us after this and give us your opinion about that. After this polling exercise, we are going to open it up for more targeted suggestions, ideas, concerns related to transportation issues. Okay, last chance for votes on which roadway condition would you most like to see addressed. Should we lock it?
I think we're good, sure.
Okay. Okay, we got a tie. Now we're on to which pedestrian or bicycle improvements would you most like to see in Vinyl Square? Choice A, installation of new sidewalks. Choice B, installation of bike lanes. Choice C, improvements to existing sidewalks, such as widening, resurfacing, and addressing accessibility. Choice D is improved visibility of crosswalks. That might involve signs, flashing lights, raised crosswalks. Choice E is adding timing adjustments for the pedestrian crossing phase, improving the pedestrian crossing signals. And choice F is adding pedestrian benches to provide resting spots for seniors and others. We're still getting votes in here. Okay, the voting is slowed down. Looks like by a big margin, improvements to existing sidewalks is the top improvement that people would like to see regarding pedestrian or bicycle improvements. Shall we lock that one? We'll lock that poll. Okay.
All right.
And next, which parking improvements would you like most to see in Vinyl Square? Choice A is add more off-street public parking. Choice B is add more on-street parking, curbside. Choice C is reduce or restrict parking. Choice D is add bicycle parking. Choice E is better management of the existing parking supply. And choice F is adding parking for those with disabilities. If you're just logging in now, I'll give you the QR code. You can point your cell phone at it, take a picture, and go to this link, or you can type in the link pollev.com/NIMCOG800, or you can text it in. You can see the number to text to on the top of the screen. One of the interesting ideas we got from the survey regarding parking was possibly adding an extra access point to the public parking to Watton Street, but I don't know what issues there might be in doing that. But that was one idea to avoid the difficulty in exiting there. Looks like voting is slowed down. Last chance to vote. And we'll lock that. Better management of the existing parking supply is the biggest improvement we'd most like to see regarding parking in the square. Okay, I believe this is the last question. Which transit improvements would you most like to see in Vinyl Square? Increase the frequency of the bus service or other schedule adjustments is A. Add a transit curbside pull-out spot for buses, choice B. Choice C is better mark the bus stop and provide a bus shelter. Choice D, provide transit schedules at the businesses in the square. Choice E, modify the existing LRTA route to improve connectivity, I guess with other bus routes or other public transit options. Choice F is consider adding a commuter rail stop in Vinyl Square should the Lowell line be extended to Nashua and beyond in the future. So choice F is adding a commuter rail stop right in Vinyl Square.
It's too bad the results are behind us.
Yeah, I'm just peered over
You
your
know,
shoulder. You want me to
they're
look
actually
now?
on the phone too.
Yeah, it's,
Or you scroll down
yeah, you can see it
afterwards.
live.
I just figured that
Scroll
out
up the
2
top.
questions ago.
If you scroll down on the phone, you can see the results as they
Scroll
come
up.
in as well. Scroll up.
Yes,
Yes,
that's
thank
how
at the
you
top.
view up.
Okay, looks like voting slowed down. We'll give that another 20 seconds or so.
Are we gonna have MassDOT implement option F?
That's in the plan, right?
There's a lot of work to be done to get to option F.
It's after 2040, I think. right?
Revised in New Hampshire.
Did you know that there was a Nashua Trail Committee?
A Nashua commuter rail.
Commuter
Rail committee.
Yeah, yes,
Yep.
yes, yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to close that. Adding the commuter rail stop, 59%, followed by providing transit schedules at businesses in the square, followed by better marking the bus stop and providing bus shelters. Thank you for voting. Let's see if is that the last one?
I believe so.
Ah,
Oh, no, streetscape.
Nope. We're to streetscape. Which streetscape improvements would you most like to see in Vinyl Square? A is widening sidewalks to better accommodate outdoor dining and allow merchants to display merchandise. B is add pedestrian scale lighting. C is add street trees and landscaping. D is add wayfinding signage and kiosks. E is add banners and other features that distinguish Vinyl Square from other areas of town. F is use public art and local artists to add interest to the area. There were a lot of mentions about street trees and landscaping in the survey, and also some specific recommendations for lighting. I believe the committee's been talking about
Trees and
lighting things.
signage is already in progress.
Yeah. All right, we'll give it another few seconds. Is this the last poll, Jeff? Is there a way to? I can't remember.
I think it is. I
can't
think
tell
this is
from
the
here. I think
last,
it's the
this
last
is the
one.
last one.
Okay, so street trees and landscaping, 55%. Add pedestrian scale lighting is 18%. Widening sidewalks, 14. Tied with using public art and local artists to add interest to the area. All right, thank you everybody for participating. We're going to go back to our PowerPoint here, and we're going to open it up for your concerns, ideas. I think we're going to start with the people here in person, and then we're going to monitor Zoom for comments and questions and things that people want to bring up. I guess as a reminder, we just want to make sure that these are transportation related, and what were some of the ground rules that you had up there?
Just want to make sure that we are not repetitive, but we're also, respectful of the opinions that people do have, but just keep it short and sweet. But, we want to continue on. And the other thing is, this is a transition in the next step to formulate the concept plan. So, but we definitely want to, if you wanted to bring on something that Carlin did not mention, to just please, if anybody in the room, we can start with you. Like you said, that's a good way to organize it.
Anybody want to bring anything to the podium?
Any additional ideas?
Just a question on.
Oh, if you
Go-
could
can you go
come
start
up
podium?
to
Step
the.
up to the
Might
podium.
not be for this group or not, but who is in charge of the maintenance of the sidewalks, snow removal and stuff like that
So-
for the town?
The question was, who is in charge of maintenance of the sidewalks and snow removal?
And an upkeep of like the overgrown grass and stuff like that everywhere.
Pretty much that is within the town, and there's a schedule of prioritization, whereas first it's the best of my knowledge, first is the schools and public safety areas, and then they get to the Vinyl Square itself. And some of the things that we do have to deal with is Mass DOT. So if there's anything that we do here to improve that with the town, we'll work with DPW to make sure we're in alignment with that.
So I was told before it was the state because it's a state highway. But doesn't the state highway also run through Chelmsford Center?
It does. That's the. But
again, it
they
might
don't
not
do
be a
the
question
plowing.
for this
State doesn't
committee,
do the
but-
plowing. The town does the plowing.
I've never heard that, Dave, that the state highway definitely runs through Vinyl Square, and there hasn't been a year that snow removal hasn't come up in some sort of a meeting,
Right.
right?
Well, on the sidewalks, there's no
Yeah.
removal.
That would be the town for any
That
of
would
the
be town.
sidewalks, and I don't know if Evan's on, if he has any perspectives or not, but I think the sidewalks on that would certainly be the town. DPW.
DPW.
Yeah.
All right, I can get that. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Dave.
Anyone else in the audience want to bring something to the podium? Then we're going to move on to, if anyone on Zoom wants to chime in, you can raise your hand. Jeff can probably see you, and you can unmute yourself.
Looks like we have a question from Monica. If you want to unmute yourself, Monica, and ask your question, or I can read it actually. Will priority be given to projects that bring the town into compliance with ADA, such as sidewalks that do not meet standard width or are obstructed with poles? Do you want me to repeat the question?
Is it directed
To everyone.
to everyone? I can't answer that, but
Do you want, will priority be given to projects that bring the town into compliance with ADA, such as sidewalks that do not meet standard width or are obstructed with poles? ADA question.
Well, any kind of improvements that are made to the road or to the sidewalk that are on state right-of-way owned by MassDOT, they take into account all ADA accessibility issues when they do the design and construction of any new facilities. So, yes, ADA is definitely a priority going forward with any improvements.
Here's a
I would say to
And a
answer
requirement,
Monica's question, if there are concerns around ADA issues right now, then we should probably bring those to the town as is.
Here's a question from Saretha. And anybody who's on Zoom, if you'd like to ask the question yourself, just raise your hand. But here's her question. If the future commuter rail happens, will there be consideration for noise control?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes. That if it comes to the point where there is a commuter rail extension and we start looking at a possible station, whether it be in Vinyl Square or anywhere along the route, it will be studied. Noise will be studied. Air quality will be studied. It's all part of the process, the design process, and bringing it to the point where construction happens and a new station will be built.
that's a good question. Any others on Zoom?
No, not right now.
People who called in, if you want to unmute, bring up any issues or concerns that you have, we will listen for you. Okay,
Nothing here.
well, that's great. I think I just want to thank everybody for coming here. I think we're going to go through some next steps as part of this process. Did you want to go through that, or I can just?
From your perspective, and I can just wrap up. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, because we're following your lead. We want to make sure we utilize your services the best we can to get to that concept.
Well, I better run this out till 9 o'clock then. I hope everybody's.
Not at all.
Just
Get a
kidding.
lot more traction if you end it early.
Okay, I'll read as fast as I can. Next steps. Feedback from this public meeting will be documented as part of a report on the public participation process. MassDOT will want to know that the public was involved in putting together this concept plan, and this is really addressing actual needs that the residents and businesses and other stakeholders have in the area. NIMCOG will utilize the survey results and this additional public input to develop a general concept plan for the transportation improvements. That's our next role in this. We're going to work over the next couple of months putting together a concept plan, incorporating some of the concerns and ideas from the survey, from tonight's meeting, and then the public will have an opportunity to review the proposal sometime this fall. We'll probably have another meeting, who knows, maybe hybrid. And then Chelmsford officials and NIMCOG will present the concept plan and details of this process, the public participation process. We're going to present that to MassDOT to advocate for improvements. That's where we are in the current process, at least related to transportation improvements. I just want to say I really appreciate all the help the committee has given me so far. Joe, Bill, Brian, huge help in putting together the survey and getting the publicity. That was amazing to me that we got the number of responses we did for such a small study area, and also help from my fellow staff at NIMCOG. I don't know if you want to bring up anything.
Yeah, I just want to wrap up and really appreciate all the work that NIMCOG, Carlin, you spearheaded, and Beverly, that's not with us tonight, and all you folks, is that the amount of work when we put together thoughts and have communicated with you over the last few meetings, you're spot on what we needed to do and how we wanted to lay this out for the town. And again, I have to appeal to the town and the residents here, and I thank you all for the surveys and any other things you do to pitch in the neighborhood, in the square, whether it's, Vinyl Square, North Village. I say it all the time. It takes a village, and every little bit, if you're just walking by picking up any little bit of trash, we appreciate that. But whether it's center and all around town, I just suggest that, this work isn't easy, but I enjoy it, and the team, I gotta thank the team here. We do need help, though, and I really appreciate it. The next folks that want to join us and the people that participated and gave me their email address, because we need your input to finalize and get our best foot forward for this plan. And anything else you want to see done in town, in the neighborhood, in the park, in the North Town Hall Community Center, please reach out. And this is our town, and let's make the most of it. We recently got our tax bills, and we want to make sure we get the most done with them. So let's raise our hand and get Mass DOT to.
Hey, Joe, thank you for all you're doing as the chair. It's not an easy role, so thank you.
You're a hard act to follow, Billy.
Yeah, right. Very easy.
Thank you all for coming and tuning in tonight, and we will share this link in the hopes to then spread the word for the folks that couldn't make it tonight, and we'll continue this dialogue and get this plan underway.
Yep, we'll have the presentation materials available as well as on a link.
And hopefully, maybe we'll see you in person at North Town Hall come this fall for the next one. But stay tuned. And just one last note, we meet at a monthly regular basis. We have little sidebar get-togethers for other projects we're working on, whether it be the wayfinding signs or the planters and the tree plant, all the little things that we do to try to improve. So anything you're interested in, reach out. But watch the calendar, and we'll try to meet again in August, September, like as per usual, and we'll let you know when we bring these folks back as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would say, just for anybody who's out there who has a follow-up idea, recognize that, you might have missed something tonight, and later on in the evening, you might think of something. It doesn't have to stop here. We're absolutely welcome to additional input and feedback. So if you got any, please feel free to, I think Evan might be the best person, because his contact information is on all the promotional materials, but certainly Joe, myself, I'm happy to give my email out if anybody's interested, and we'll make sure we get that heard. So thank you.
Yeah, and our contact information is listed on the committee page.
There we go.
under
That's a good source, yeah.
Vinyl Square Strategic Action Plan Committee. So again, thank you all for joining and coming in here in person and tuning in. And we look forward to hearing from you and your help going forward. Thank you all. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.